Hello everyone, I am Dr. Suman Pawar, working as an assistant professor in Department of Zoology at Dada Patil Mahavidyalaya Karjat, District Ahmednagar, welcomes you in this session. Friends, today we are going to discuss about the Rana tigrena, the Indian bullfrog. Let us study its external morphology, but before that, we must know to which class it belongs. It belongs to the class Amphibia from subphylum Vertebrata and phylum Chordata. Now, let us have a look towards the general characters of Amphibia. The term amphibious, that is, they bear double mode of life, as they can live in water as well as on land. The amphibians, they carry moist, thin, thick skin which is without skulls. Their aquatic larval forms changes to terrestrial adult, means in their life cycle they carry two habitats, the aquatic one as well as the terrestrial one. No doubt they carry the paired limbs, but their limbs or their digits, they are without claws. The amphibians perform their respiration with or their buccal cavity or mouth. They are cold-blooded animals and can adjust their body temperature with the temperature of their surrounding. Their heart is with two auricles and one ventricle, and beside these three real chambers, they carry sinus venosus and truncus arteriosus as accessory chambers. The amphibian males are either with or without copulatory organ. That's why they can show either external or internal fertilization. Means wherever the males carry the copulatory organ, the fertilization will be internal, and if the males are without copulatory organ, then ultimately the fertilization will be external. Their young one directly develops, means in most of the characters they show similarities with their parental character, and the indirect development is the development in which their young forms are totally different from their adult forms. Some of the examples of the amphibia are frog, salamander, and ichthyophis. Now the class Amphibia, it is differentiated in three main orders, of which the first order Apoda. Apoda, that is, these are the limbless amphibians. They don't have the paired limbs. Example, Ichthyophis. The second order Urodela. The members of this order, they carry, or the adult of this order carries paired limbs as well as well-developed. And the Anura, that is, these are the tailless adults. And well-known example, the frog and the toad. As their larval forms, they develops well-developed tail, but towards their adult stage, they show the degeneration of their tail, and that's why the adults are without tail. Now, we see the classification of frog or classification of Rana tigrena. This classification is more or less applicable to all types of frog. Phylum Chordata, and it shows presence of notochord. Subphylum Vertebrata, as it shows presence of vertebral column. It falls under the division Gnathostomata, as its mouth opening is bounded. It belongs to the superclass Tetrapoda, as it develops well-developed two pairs of limbs, that is the forelimbs and the hind limbs. It belongs to the class Amphibia, as it can live in water as well as on land. It comes under the order Anura, as its adult remains without tail. And the genus Rana and tigrena, species tigrena, as it shows the colored patches like the strips of the tiger, hence the name tigrena, and it is commonly called as Indian bullfrog. Now the external morphology of frog. A generalized frog body shows these structures. First of all, we will see the mouth, see a bit of prolongation of these jaws in the form of snout. Just upper side of the snout, there is a location of the nostrils. Behind the nostril, on either side of its body, there is a location of a large protruding eye, which is provided with the upper and the lower eyelid, and the third eyelid is present in the form of nictitating membrane. Behind each eye, there is a location of the circular patch in the form of tympanum or tympanic membrane, which represents its internal ear. Its forelimbs its forelimb is provided with 4 digits, and the trunk region at its dorsal side, it shows a slight elevation in the form of hump. During resting phase, being much longer in size, its hind limbs they shows a Z manner folding, and the hind limbs they are provided with 5 digits, and all these digits they are interconnected with each other through the muscular webs. Now see, this is the magnification of its head region. These are the external ears or the nostrils. Now this is the protruding eye, which is provided with the third eyelid or the nictitate. This large circular patch is the tympanic membrane which receives the sound waves, and these are the colored patches over its skin. Its body is spindle-shaped, that is pointed anteriorly and somewhat rounded at its posterior end. Its body is divisible into head, trunk, and the paired limbs. It shows absence of neck and tail. Its average body size ranges in between 12 to 18 centimeters in length and 5 to 8 centimeters in its width. It's thin, moistly fitted on its body. It shows a total absence of exoskeletal elements. Its skin shows green color with black or brown spots on its dorsal side, but its ventral side it remains pale yellow. Its flat head remains roughly triangular, showing the blunt snout and terminal mouth. Its nostrils, that is the external nares, lies above the mouth and at the tip of the snout, and they serve for respiration. It bears 2 very large spherical protruding eyes with thick immovable eyelids and a very thin transparent nictitating membrane which covers and protects the eyes, always moist. In the middle of head of frog, just in front of the eyes, there is a presence of a light colored patch called brow spot, and this brow spot represents the vestigial pineal eye. Behind and below each eye, there is a flat and deeply pigmented circular patch, that is the tympanum or tympanic membrane, which receives the sound waves, and thus it represents the internal or the inner ear. In male frog, lower side of the throat bears 2 bluish patches of skin which are called vocal sacs, which acts as resonators while croaking during rainy season. And croaking, it is the mating call for their partners during breeding season. It's a head trunk which shows a characteristic hump, and hump is nothing but a slight elevation on its mid-dorsal side. Its trunk bears two pairs of limbs, that is the forelimbs and the hind limbs. This is the forelimb of the male frog, and the inner toe of the forelimb, it shows such a cushiony pad which is called a nuptial pad, which particularly develops and becomes prominent during breeding season. Here is the hind limb of the frog. Now see, 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5 means it is provided with 5 digits, and all these 5 digits, they are interconnected with each other through these hind limbs or with web, and they are used in swimming, jumping as well as leaping. The frogs are cold-blooded animals, and hence they are considered as ectothermic or exothermic. Their body temperature always remains dependent on the surrounding environmental temperature. And whenever the climatic conditions remain unfavorable, they undergo dormant stages. Their common exit of body is called as cloaca or vent, and the cloaca is the common opening which is shared by its excretory, reproductive and digestive systems for discharging their content. Here is the location of the cloaca. This is the common exit which we called vent or cloaca. The sexual dimorphic characters in frog. Sexual dimorphism. It is the phenomenon by which externally one can identify the male or female individual by observing certain morphological features. Now let us see the features in male frog. These are quite smaller in size and dark in color, whereas the female frog, they looks rather larger and lighter in color. The male frog always remains slimmer, while the female frogs, they become stouter when their abdominal region contains the mature eggs. The male frog shows preserved region which are used for croaking, that is, producing the louder sound. The female frog don't have the vocal sacs. The male frog shows a nuptial pad on the inner toe or inner finger of their forelimb, which develops more prominently during breeding season. The female frog, it shows the nuptial pad on their forelimbs, and these nuptial pads, they are mainly for pressing the abdominal region of the female during their breeding season. Now, identification of frog. How one can identify the male and how one can identify the female frog. These two are the structures, that is, the nuptial pad on the forelimb, inner finger of the forelimb, which is present, which are located in the throat region of the male frog. These two are the characteristic features with the help of which one can identify the male frog. And these two features, that is nuptial pads and vocal sacs, are totally absent in case of female, and that's why it can be the female frog. Habit. It is related with its feeding habit. The frog is strictly carnivorous and mainly feeds on insects, small worms, snails, sludge, and aquatic insects. Its habitat, that is its place of living, it mainly prefers, particularly if we are talking about the Indian bullfrog Rana tigrena, it preferably lives in or near the freshwater lakes, ponds, and the streams. When the common bullfrog undergoes two dormant stages, of which the first one is hibernation. The hibernation is a state of dormancy in frog during winter, and it is a metabolic depression and refers to a season characterized by low body temperature, slow breathing, and heart rate with a low metabolic rate. The second dormant state, that is aestivation. Aestivation is a state of dormancy observed in frogs during summer season and which is characterized by high body temperature, lower metabolic activities, and almost no feeding. Croaking, a very useful character or unique character of the frogs, particularly observed in male frogs. The croaking is the breeding season. It is louder in male as the sound is produced by forcing the air from the lungs over the vocal cords. And here the vocal sacs, they act as the resonators. Now, the locomotion in frog. The very specific locomotion is leaping. The leaping is the sudden extension of the hind legs like a spring by which the body of frog is propelled in the air before jumping. Swimming. It is the locomotion when the frog remains in water, and during swimming, as the hind legs are pushed back and its toes spread apart, the webs which are present between the toes of the hind legs, they afford resistance to pass through the water. Thus, the forelimbs, thus they perform swimming. The mechanism of leaping.
The legs. See them pushing off? That's where the power comes from. And the spine? It's rigid, straight, so the frog doesn't uncurl as it jumps. It unfolds, opening at a hinged joint that is unique to frogs. That hinge, the iliosacral joint, to be technical, was thought to be absolutely necessary to the evolution of frog jumping. But a computer simulation suggests that jumping may have evolved first and the joint later to improve their accuracy and refine their jumps.
Friends, this is all about the external characters and classification of Rana tigrena, and more or less this classification and the external characters, they are applicable to other frog species also. If you have any doubt about the content of this video or you have any questions about the topic covered, kindly mail me on the given email. Thank you very much.